We are recording. DB, I am thankful for you and glad we were able to connect in New York when we did briefly at FarCon and finally got to get you on the show. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was good to meet you up there in person. I think pretty early on, whenever you joined Farcaster, I was involved in following along with Ted, introducing you to everybody, and just kind of seeing how that happened. And next thing you know, what was it, weeks or even months, and you're at FarCon.
Yeah, no, it was pretty fast. I got introduced to Ted through my buddy Juan. Shout out to Juan and Nillian.
Uh huh.
But yeah, so introduced me to Ted, and then Ted and I put it together that we were neighbors in Venice Beach out in LA. So she immediately was just like, "Oh my gosh, everybody go follow Jeff!" And then the rest is history. I got introduced to a bunch of cool people. I got to meet people like yourself, and just through like the DMs. Once Ted gave that shout out, a bunch of people reached out to me as well, and I saw that to be enough of a reason to bring my wife up to New York and meet everybody at FarCon. So,
Not
and it was
often you would want to take your wife to a crypto meetup conference. Who
That's
knows what?
exactly right. I mean, luckily enough, my wife is a trooper and she's kind of all for it. So, I got invited to go play in the beer pong tournament that Bracky
Mhm.
put on.
Yep.
I was like, I have to do this. There's
Yeah.
no way I'm not. So she was like, okay, I guess I'm coming with you. So we made a trip of it, but had a great time. It was awesome meeting everybody. Well worth the flight and everything. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah, you definitely got a good treatment with Ted introducing you to everybody and making the trip. I did the last FarCon over there on the West Coast, and that was great too. I mean, both the experiences were awesome. I only do like one conference a year. I was going to do the permissionless one this year, but instead I did both FarCons, and that's just it's great to see everybody. It's just they're all everybody's good people. It's I say this as someone who's been on Farcaster for a long time, but when you compare it to these other platforms, it's just a different group of people. It's a different vibe, and people want to help you. They want to see what you're up to. They just want to kind of, just chat about what's going on.
That's right. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it. I've said it countless amounts of times, but the fact that you are so well received so early and they take such pride in onboarding people and making sure they're getting the best experience, even, the founder from the top down, they make an effort to make sure they're doing everything they can. I mean, like you just referred to it. I mean, I've been on Farcaster for 2 months next week. And
Really?
yeah,
That's it?
it's it. And, since doing it, so like, look, like, I know I got a huge boost
Yes.
from Ted
Yes.
giving me the shout out, but it's also what you do with it, right? Like, no one gave me a podcast or a channel to start, but and not to like toot my own horn. That's not the point. What I'm trying to get at is like I started this channel, and I only have like 300 people following the channel. But Dan shouted out and said, "Look, if anyone's building a channel and spending more than 5 hours a week on this, like, let me know." So I DM'd him. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I really care about this, about channels, and I care
Mhm.
about like it's a huge part of what I'm trying to do on Farcaster." And um, put me in a chat with the rest of the people that are building channels, and got to say my piece. So I mean, you don't get that type of feedback or like hands-on experience in any startup that I mean, any social media platform for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
but
for
like even
sure.
startups to be able to like look at the audience in your community and really care about what they say. So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate for it. I don't know if I've really shared with you about like what the goal is here, but
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
the channel, the long and short of the channel is giving the spotlight to founders that are building on Farcaster and letting them, of course, like shill, but also have the opportunity to tell their story, give the like more personal experience to. It's not just using Intori, right? It's like who's the person that built it, why they built it, what has motivated this, and where are they at today. So I think, and that's one part of it, is to draw a community of people, whether it's 200, you got an audience immediately at Farcaster, but if there's an audience that's listening to this there's a little bit more of a sentiment to go and use um, that app or protocol or whatever's built
Yeah,
because they know the founder. And then also simultaneously, I think there's a lot of people that are builders that are on Farcaster, right? And they
tons.
don't have, and they may not have the motivation or the confidence to go start something. So hearing it from someone like yourself as to why you've built it, like what the journey was like for you to build it, it gives them, maybe a new perspective on, okay, I can't take the leap. I don't need to go the traditional VC route, raise money, then start. I could put that on its head. So yeah, that's the TLDR of what I'm trying to do here. But
Well,
nevertheless,
it's awesome.
we
And
got you.
like you said, on Farcaster, there are a lot of builders. There's a lot of people on every different level. Now with vibe coding and mini apps, people are wanting to spin up a little project they've never thought they could ever do. And then you also have a lot of people that have had exits and are building whatever company this is after other ones that were successful. And from my perspective, as someone building a mini app and building a company, you don't have time to do content like this. Like, it's so valuable to get out there and talk about yourself as a person, or why you're doing this, or the history, or what's next, because every second is consumed with what's that next task you need to do. What bugs are you dealing with? Can I get that next cast out just so I have enough? It doesn't look like we're not doing anything. And it's just, you can't sit down and have long form conversations and put out that information. Like, I would love to just sit down every week and have myself on video demoing the app and what's new, because we're always putting stuff out every day. But at the very minimum, I can get like a cast out once a day. So it's not easy to be able to do that kind of content.
No, absolutely. And I think, look, if you can find the time to have an hour conversation and do this, like it's my job, and I put it on. The goal here is to be able to support you, right? Like I want to make sure that if you are building something, whether and transparently, it's like whether I'm frequently using it or not is beside the point. It's like my goal here is to support founders and builders that are on Farcaster, give them a platform to showcase what they're building. Like, no, yeah. So for me, fortunately, I have been able to play around a little bit with the like free time that I have. So I'm familiar with the app. I'm familiar with what you're trying to build. But for those that are not familiar, maybe we can. I don't know if you have the ability to demo from your end right now, but would love to just talk a little bit about what Intori's doing and the high level and get
Yeah.
as granular as you'd like.
Yeah, let's dive into it. And I'm not going to do a demo right now,
Yeah,
just because I think you personally are a great person to talk to about this, because the whole premise behind Intori is discovering new people, helping people on Farcaster meet each other, and then when you do have friends, having deeper connections. And even though you got the red carpet treatment, most people that come into Farcaster don't. If you are putting out authentic content and you are trying and you know the right people, then you may get that handholding from Linda or from Ted, or there's advocates out there like Brad and others that are really pushing. You'll see these messages come out on Farcaster like, hey, it's my welcome first day. This is my friend. This is a little bit about me. And you'll see 20, 30, 40 people jump in like, welcome. It's pretty much the same people, but those are people that have strong networks. So that's awesome. And I love seeing that. And I think that that's necessary to continue to expand Farcaster, because in the grand scheme of things, the network's pretty small compared to these other social networks. But what Intori does is it's a mini app. So anybody that uses Farcaster now can go to the mini app store and get Intori. It's Intori. Actually stands for Inter Origins. I could talk about that later. But what it does is you instantly jump into the app and you're asked a few questions. So these are wide ranging questions. It could be trying to figure out if you're into sports, what kind of food you like, wellness, all kinds of different preferences and interests. So right away, you can answer a couple questions. We asked you to answer up to 5, but you don't have to. And then when you answer that information, we now know a little bit about what you're into. And then we can match you up with other people to meet. So for a new person to the platform, or someone that struggled to get a following, all you have to do is jump into the app, answer a couple questions, and we'll show you a couple people to meet. Now, stopping there because there's a lot more in the app that we could talk about. But that's one side of it. The other cool thing about it too is if you already have some people that you're following or mutual follows on Farcaster, we now can show you what they're into, their interests, things that you may have never known. So like right now, I'm trying to figure out who on Farcaster is from North Carolina and plays golf. I would love to know that. And you could do that with our app. So
Yep.
like I was just talking to someone the other day who's in Miami that was wanting to figure out people around them that play golf. And soon, with enough people, enough data, we are going to be able to provide that to everybody. And you could just think about that from a sport to pretty much anything. So that's what Intori is. And that's what the app is right now.
So yeah, very very modest in what, and that is very high level, and I appreciate it. But there's a lot more that is being offered in there. I think
Yeah, tons.
yeah, there's tons, and one of the things that I really appreciate about it, is the fact that you're taking the time to not just mix and match and just kind of put two people together, but it's also like a little bit more intense. It's not just like, do you like sports? That is a component of it.
Yes.
But I think it's also like what type, like it's very intricate questions that are being asked. I think one of the ones that I had when I was being onboarded on it was like, are you a morning person or a night person? Are you like so it gets to try its best. It does its best, and probably the best that you possibly can do, of trying to get to know a person deeper than just the like generic questions that are asked on surveys. But then also simultaneously pairing up not just the, oh, he likes golf, here you go. It's finding the people that are like more, the ones that they're probably not expecting to be paired up on, which I thought was really cool right away.
Yeah, yeah. So there are different components to the app. We talked about meeting new people, and when we first started that, but actually the journey of this Intori product started almost a year ago. So on-chain summer 2024, we were building out a V1 frame, which was the initial frames that you see in your feed on Farcaster. It was dedicated for channels. So we were working with members and owners of channels. And the goal was to, okay, you have your following in your channel. Now let's learn a little bit more about the people in there and start to connect them with each other. And it worked out okay. But once V2 mini apps came out, once we saw the change in the dynamic of where channels were going, we decided to go this route, which is still the same mission, but it's now an app rather than dedicating it to providing the service to channels. So we could talk about this a little later, but I do think that Intori still could actually be a big catalyst for reviving channels. So
we could definitely talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
that, and then we'll talk about later also what you could do with your data. And there's a grand vision there too. So my background is I started in the space in 2017. I've been working basically in the decentralized identity side ever since. So focusing on verifiable credentials, vouching for specific data, and like verifying that you are who you are, and the different data about you. And so it's been an ongoing mission to get to this point where basically you have that information by yourself, you have that data, and what can you do with it? And do it in a way where the users can actually own it. People over the years have talked about this, own your own data, all that kind of stuff, but no one's really done much with that. And I think that one of the problems has been that the infrastructure hasn't been ready. It was very costly to do these microtransactions in the past. The fees were too expensive. So whenever you're putting a credential out there, we're doing 5 questions at a time, 10, 20, 30. If you're doing an on-chain transaction each time, it gets expensive. And you also had a lot of difficulties with wallets. Wallets weren't capable to do a lot of things. And that's where actually from 2020, whenever my company Tomb Technology started until this last year, we were building open source software for MetaMask and for other wallets where we were allowing them to use verifiable credentials. We worked with Hedera Hashgraph doing it for them. So we've been doing this for a while. We've had different products. It was kind of at one point, it was like a Facebook, a kind of significantly decentralized Facebook, kind of like how we have this Twitter version here. Same thing where you're having these credentials, this information about yourself, you're paired up with groups, you're token gated into these communities, and it's kind of a culmination of all that into Intori. So that's what we're working on currently.
What motivated you to spin off and start working within the Web3 space?
Yeah, so going back to career beginnings, I got out of college with a finance degree at the peak of the financial crisis, 2008, 2009. So, first job out of college was working at a century old institution, a bank. Within a few weeks, the FDIC came in, took it over. All the suits came in, cleaned it out. I was in the accounting department. So, until my severance started, I was standing at the copy machine, copying defunct mortgages. So I had a little chip on my shoulder from the very beginning with how the institutions and banking was operating. And that's one side of it. Luckily, I made my way directly into internet marketing agency, worked my way up to the VP, CFO there, and kind of overlapping during that time period, my wife and I started e-commerce business. So now I have experience in internet marketing, the finance background, and then for several years we were actually importing goods for babies, swaddles, onesies, and we had a give back program. So always in my businesses and what I've been doing, I've been thinking about how can I give back? How can we do good? And so we were giving blankets to children in need whenever purchases were made. So we sold that business after several years, and on the tail end of that, we were one of the earliest Coinbase Commerce customers. So we were taking crypto payments at that time. I think it was Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, just a few of them. So I was a little bit familiar with crypto in the space, and we were selling our business. So I wanted to get involved more. And around that time, one of the first projects I was into was actually called AntShares Neo, and that led me into a competitor to Ethereum out of China. And I just got involved. I was seeing what I could do to help. Started with branding design, then went into leading development teams. And they had a setup where they had an identity chain. So they had different pillars where identity was one aspect of that. And that led me into sitting on several groups with the World Economic Forum, Decentralized Identity Foundation, W3C, which I still am part of. So there's this kind of period where getting into crypto, it also, whether luckily or not, it got me into this identity side of crypto. And we saw some of the issues of, okay, if we are going to have all these identity credentials ourselves, we need to have an easy way to manage them in digital wallets. There was a need for developments there, so we got into that side of it. And now finally, you can actually do something with this data. There's ZK proofs, there's credentials, you have your wallets, transactions are cheap. So now it's like at the beginning of this year, my co-founder at the time stayed with Hedera, and I've set out to focus full time on Intori. So since the beginning of the year, it's myself and other developers solely working on this product.
So you and your co-founder, so your co-founder's still with Hedera?
Yeah, he's with Hashcraft.
Okay, so you were under this like impression, I would assume, then at the beginning of starting Intori, like this is going to be an application that is focused primarily on the verification of who that individual is, like what their identity is, what information that is affiliated with them, and like you're just pretty much building a database for these individuals, but they have sovereignty. It's self-sovereign, correct?
Correct. So yeah, so that's where the verifiable credential piece comes in. So if you want to jump forward about where we think the entire space is going as it pertains to AI. So you have these things now called they are these new things with AI that came out with Anthropic not that long ago, where now you have these services. If you're going to have multiple AIs communicating with each other, you need to have some form of facilitation in between. So not only are you going to prompt to tell an AI to do something for you, but you're going to need to have that AI communicate with a business or service AI. And in the middle, you're going to have your identity component. You're going to have your data store. You're going to have all this information that's set up in a standard to where they can communicate with each other. And I think that two of the biggest undervalued components of that are the identity and the wallet piece, but then also the data piece, because what you're going to have to end up doing is providing additional information whenever you have those things happen. So, take for example, if you wanted to book a hotel or go on a trip, you can't simply now just say, I want to go on a trip, book me that on these dates, because it doesn't know enough about you. So, take for example, if you were using your data store in Intori, by answering enough of these questions, it would know what type of location you want to go to, because we ask if you prefer to go to a beach or mountains. It would like it. We even ask, would you rather travel by train,
Spring,
car,
and then
plane,
also spring or summer. Like, what time do you like? What's
and
your favorite time of
summer?
year? Yeah.
What type of food do you like to eat? It will know restaurants nearby. So just that component in itself is super valuable to everybody, because yes, we're giving you connections right now. You're meeting people that are like-minded currently, but think about in the future if you want to have that data accessible for some benefit in the future. And it could be as simple as connecting to a website that already knows your types of clothes you like, your sizing, the favorite brands, so that it's personalized for you. So I think that this component is super important, but there's not many services out there yet that people are willing to provide that type of data in a way where maybe we're not using that today, but in the future you'll have that data store that you could then use to your benefit.
I mean, so just off the rip, I was not thinking about Intori at all in that regard. I saw Intori just as an end user that's been able to spend. I mean, granted, I've only been here for 2 months, but you know, divide the math and take like the free time of what I've been able to actually spend in it. I've looked at it as just this networking platform where it's like within the Farcaster community, based on your data set, here are the people that introduced you. Full stop. Did not consider it at all, and the value and the long term play here of what you can do with that data. So, for example, like, for me, privacy is actually something that I'm not good at practicing, but I think it's incredibly valuable. I
Mm-hmm.
think in the world, in the way that we are trending as a society, like the most important thing that we're going to have is our privacy, and that's all the value, right? Because if you look at all of these data brokers, all of these huge institutions, how do they profit off of us? It's through data, right? Like, and if it wasn't worth something, they wouldn't be doing it. So your data is worth something. So
Correct.
for something like Intori, where I am providing this information, I am submitting to these surveys, and I'm like participating, the one thing that I would, again, this is just all preference and not to derail this entire
No,
conversation
no,
with like
yeah.
political or philosophical perspectives, but it's like, if I am an individual that is participating in this, I like the ZK proof aspect of it, where it's like, I just had a call the other day with a founder talking about the capabilities with like ZK TLS and ZK proof and how it can be applicable in real world experiences. For example, if I am a above 21-year-old and I want access to a bar, no longer are there passbacks and fake IDs and any of that. It's just simply like having your wallet attached to your identity, being able to scan your in, and they don't need to know what your address is. They don't need to know anything other than the specific data set, which is this validates that I am above 21 years old. You don't need to know my address. You don't need to know I'm like a blood donor, like, or an organ donor. Like those. So I think there's real world capabilities, like aspects of it that are such net positive in what I'm hearing. And I'll stop the rant real quick, but to get better and a better understanding of like what the long term play looks like for Intori, having that bucket of information already allocated and affiliated to a wallet allows you to have the sovereign, like have that personal privacy, but also like self sovereignty of that information that you can pick and choose what to share with in the future.
Exactly. Exactly. And you hit the nail on the head, because that's what we've been working towards for a very, very long time. And there were companies along the way that would ask you basically surveys that they would then sell as a marketing piece or like metrics to other companies, and you get like a gift card. Like that stuff did happen. But what you need to realize is that we're moving towards a world where you are going to be engaging with bots, and you're going to be engaging and owning multiple agents, and they're going to be engaging with each other. And all these companies like OpenAI and others, they are striving to get towards personalization. They have memory, they have personalization. They want this to become more and more personal. So are you going to live in a world where you only chat back and forth with OpenAI and they try and learn and consume everything that they can about you? Or are you going to control that yourself? And I feel like that doing it this way, if you use the app, you'll see that we are going about it with a thoughtful approach where we are not asking for your personal identification information. We're not asking for your name, your age. We do have a location, but it's kind of staggered, where you'll first answer a question: what continent are you on? And then it'll ask you, okay, what country are you in? And then state, and then nearest city. So if you want to get down to that point, which the closest thing we say is nearest city, you're not disclosing exactly where you live, because localization is very important for connections. So like if we can match you up with someone nearby in the vicinity that has multiple things that are similar to you, that's important to you. But we're not going to ask you for your home address and stuff like that. I feel like, yes, we could have a verification piece in the future, but I don't really want to be that component. I think there's enough companies out there now. There's World doing their orb thing. There's all these other companies that are focusing on proof of humanity. But we want to be that personal data store. So you are, in a friendly way, providing information, meeting people, seeing what you have similarities with other people. But then, okay, now you have this. Can we give it to you in a way that you can use it to your own benefit? And one thing that's really been a part of my whole ethos about building all these years in crypto is, I want people to interact with services, interact with companies, other people that don't have a reverse incentive. You are now using these other social platforms where their incentive is to keep you on that platform as long as possible, keep your eyes on their platform, and to keep your data inside of their silo. And that's not what we want to do. I want you to be able to benefit from your time and benefit with the information that you're providing. And that's hopefully what we can get to with Intori. Now, it is a mini app. It is a small component of Farcaster now. So we're talking big, big, big picture. But I think there's steps along the way that we can get to make this a friendly place that everybody wants to go into daily. Each day your preferences may change. It's just like real world. That's kind of how I compare it to the real world. You step outside your door, you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what food you're going to try. You don't know experiences that you're going to have. So it'd be nice to have a platform that you do interact with daily, and you provide that information that we could then use and help you to do something with it.
No, I mean, I think, look, for the time that I've been around startups and seeing successful ones and ones that don't make it, you got to have a big picture thought. You have to have, and I think the thing that's exciting is the fact that you know what you want to do. Like, you know what the objective is out of this. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get there. Yeah. And I think the approach is right. You got to start somewhere. And I think using this as a networking platform, like within the network, is great, because it's allowing you to, one, you're getting an understanding of like who your end users are, like who's retained, who's falling off, why are they falling off. Like, that's where Farcaster, I think, is really special, is you're immediately getting that audience that does understand how to use a wallet, that does understand, like those little components that you can't go test out in the real world right now. I hate to even say the real world, but you know what I mean. But like, the thing that gets me excited about Intori are all the capabilities of like truly being a protector of data and understanding like that each individual is being rewarded for the data that that you're sharing. So like, for me, I'm trusting Intori with even though they seem so simple and it's so innocent of like, I like the spring. You're already adding up what all of the institutions that already exist have on me, whether I'm aware of it or not. So I think the transparency component, at least from an end user's perspective, is like really important. And for me, it's exciting where it's like, this is what we're set to do. Like build the database with us,
Mm-hmm.
allow us to like be the shepherd for you into this new world that we're walking into, and like protect your data. And I don't think there's any, again, not to like get on a soapbox and start like advising, but I think there's nothing wrong with being transparent about that. Like, what's the goal? Like, yes, of course it's to network and of course to document you as you're getting onboarded onto this platform, but like long-term value, what is it that we're contributing to? It's allowing you to protect your own data. And when you do see the like reality is this wallet is affiliated with you. And because of that, when you start purchasing things online, when you start interacting with other like social clubs where wallets are going to inevitably be adopted, you get to pick and choose what elements are shared with others. And Tori is the, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm seeing the long-term value of Intori is that you're going to be this like gatekeeper from all of the like institutions or other individuals.
Correct. And obviously this is further down the
Of
road.
course.
So there's no specifics, but I'd like to think of it in maybe as like if you're familiar with a plaid, where you are interacting with these different websites or companies that need access to your banking. They need to confirm that you have your balances or your accounts or whatever. So maybe you're interacting with these companies and you're connecting to Intori, and then you consent. Okay, it's an athletic website or company, so you can now have access to my athletic topic data, or the whole scale of information. So it's never going to be a fire hose of hey, here's all my data, and Tori does it without your consent. It's going to be this is your choice and your benefit, and you wouldn't have that data otherwise. So it's a huge benefit to the company. It's a huge benefit to you, and we would just be the middleman in that scenario.
And yeah, I mean that's how I understood it at least. Now
Yeah,
that I got
yeah,
a better picture of what Intori is looking to do. I know right now, currently as it stands, it's not like this is the
no, no.
the advertisement of how you can utilize Intori today, but
And
it's really nice to see the future too.
I've probably hinted at some of this in some of my casts, and just if you go back and just see information that I've shared for years, it's nothing's changed. So there's no like hidden incentive there. But if we want to take a step back to the product as it is today, there are some other things that you could do that maybe taps into our discussion earlier about channels. So what happens is when you go into the app, you answer questions, and we tell you some people to meet. One thing that we haven't talked about is the whole gifting
Gift.
mechanism, and we match you with 5 people, and why is that? Okay, so the reason why that is you'll go into Farcaster, you go into other social networks, you'll follow somebody. Now they don't even know that you're following them. They don't get a notification. They don't know that you're a new follower. They don't know that you see them on your feed every day. You just follow them. You may reach out and send them a message. It's going to be hidden into your lost messages, and they may never open it. So you're not truly making a connection with these people. So we show you 5 so that you are adding an element of serendipity. You're not just picking and choosing one person to interact with. You're actually sending a gift out to 5 people. So you answer a question, you are awarded one gift to send to somebody. So whenever you are matched with 5 people, you click gift all, and it sends a gift to each of those people. So it's a little bit random, so that you may have some people receive gifts that's not exactly someone that you wanted to connect with. But what's fun about it is they're receiving something. There's 10,000 points currently inside of a gift when you open it. You can exchange that in the app one for one for tokens instantly with the claim feature. But they see this gift, it catches their attention. It's totally eliminates that loss of connection that happens on social now, because they are incentivized to open it up. And when they open it, they see your profile. So they see you, they see your bio, they see a few insights about you. So that gives you the opportunity that maybe they will want to be a mutual friend or engage further, because they see, you may be overlooked and have never been seen before, and may see that you like golf and you are in North Carolina or the United States or whatever. They're like, okay, I want to learn more about this person. So they could send a gift back. or they can become a friend. So that is how the basis of connections happen. So there's a little bit of incentive there. You're getting rewarded by reaching out to other people. There's a little bit of serendipity there. We wanted to make an experience where it includes more people outside of who maybe would be the people you're going after to meet, and everybody gets a little benefit from it. So just stopping there, that's the gifting side that extends outside of meeting new people. And that's where people can start to exchange back and forth.
No, no, it makes total sense. I think one of the things, again, not like it was just tough. It's tough for me, and I'm probably not the best use case because, like you said, I got that red carpet experience. But I'm fortunate and very humbled at that experience that I had to be onboarded. But I also think putting myself in another person's shoes who didn't get that and is trying to grind through, just building an audience.
A lot of them.
There's a ton of them. And I think one of the things that's really important about that is like, what tools can I provide to give them an experience? And it's not like you're even asking to solve all of their problems in terms. They still need to put out good content. They still need to be able to engage in a proper way that is going to build, a trust in someone else to even give them a follow. Mm-hmm. So there's a part of me that's also like, it's easy to say from this side of the seat or this side of the perspective to be like, hey, look, like you should be able to grind. It should be difficult, right? Like, yeah, it's very easy for you to say, Jeff, you got a shout out from one of the 5 people at Merkle. Like, of course that's going to change the game. But I also think looking at the competitiveness of it, it makes the connection so much more valuable. Yes. Right. And I appreciate all of that. And I'm pretty open-minded and can look in the mirror and see those things. But I also appreciate the fact that you are aware of that and Tori's aware of that. Just going at the network, putting the data pieces to the side, but focusing on the element that you're trying to answer to is the fact that there is a problem. It's very difficult for people to make networks and connections, and a lot of people transparently don't want to grind and put 12 hours a day onto a social media app to build an audience.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to stop you there just to chime in where there are so many people that are burnt out with having to chase clout, having to chase engagement. And I mean, honestly, there is a Farcaster leaderboard and people tell each other to post bangers. So there is that incentive to go and do that. But a lot of people will lurk and they don't want to cast. Now, let me add in here that we are spending a lot of energy into our spam filter and getting that under control, because there are a lot of accounts on Farcaster that are not authentic accounts, and there's a lot of people that just post shares of airdrops and mini apps on their feeds, and we're trying to come up with a system to not exclude people, but if you are blatantly trying to extract value from the platform and not provide anything to it, you're going to get blocked from the app. And that's to the quality of the connection. We don't want to be showing you these accounts. So my message to anyone that is listening that's using the app, try and post some decent content or a picture or anything that is not just a share of an airdrop, because right. That is helpful not only to your visibility in the app, but also people that see your profile and will want to connect with you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, even from where I sit, there's plenty of people that try to engage with me or try to get me to follow them and stuff. And again, I've been here for 2 months, dude. I'm not some key opinion leader. I'm not some influencer. I'm just somebody that really enjoys the app and wants to give a platform for people like yourself. And I will post and I will cast just for the sake of sharing thoughts. Maybe people do find it interesting, and I will get replies under it that are just not conducive to anything. Yeah. And then if I don't engage with that, they'll start chirping at me and saying this person. So I also want to share too, for the people that are trying to build a presence, there's a proper way of going about building. You still have to be a human being. you cannot just have this instant gratification like, oh, hey, because I followed you and replied to you once, I expect you to follow me back and give me, like, that's not how the real world works. And I think, again, going back to Intori, it's like, start slow, like, you're here, you don't have that network, okay, let's give you a plan B of how you can start, like, engaging and getting the most out of this community. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're taking on a very difficult task because we're trying to address the authenticity and the human side of it, where I think is going to be continue to be very, very important, because a majority of your interactions on social going forward are going to be AI generated and bots. There's no getting rid of that. So if we can have an area where you are authentically meeting with other humans and people based on things that you both like, that's super valuable. But then also we're doing the other side of it that we talked about earlier, is giving you that data store to where you can use that to your benefit if you are interacting with agents or bots. So you're getting both worlds in one, where these are issues on one side and opportunities on the other that we're trying to address. So there's a lot there to unpack. But I just want to add one more thing about, okay, going back to the benefits of what we're doing for Farcaster. We are helping with the discovery and new people meeting other people, but also something that we may do in the near future is, okay, now we're starting to gather all these people around interests, around topics. This is going back to the channels thing, where can we help in a grassroots way revive conversations on the platform of protocol around specific topics. Now, depending on where they go with channels, there is an opportunity there if they make them free and they make them accessible to the protocols, to where maybe we're taking 10, 20, 30, 50 people that are interested in this very niche thing, giving them access to a channel that we create, and you are the group that's casting out to that channel for everyone to see on that specific topic. So if you take hundreds or thousands of topics and you're generating these channels around those interests, that conversation is now brought out to Farcaster, and it's reviving this whole world of content that's not currently there. Another side of that is, if channels don't happen that way, we can put you into group chats. So we can bring the conversation into small groups, which there are some. I'm in some group chats, Club Ted's one of them, where I would not have been on Farcaster as much as I was last year if it wasn't for being in that group of 50 people, just having conversations on the platform that were about anything. It's just this group that keeps you together. So it would reduce some churn. You'd be with your people and you'd be having conversations that then flood out to the protocol and into CAS. So I think there's something that we can do there.
It's fantastic. And I think this is so I'm glad you're bringing up the channels element, because I do think that there is, like there's conversation surrounding channels right now and what to do with it. And I don't think that's a secret. Like, they are potentially getting rid of channels. And for me, it would be a detriment to what I'm trying to build, right?
Channels are great. I still cast to channels all the time. I know that Dan comes out and says there's no boost to it, and there's also no narrowcast to it. But I feel like if I'm talking about a specific topic, I'm going to put it into a channel.
Right. And I think and look, like, not to just completely bash on the idea of getting rid of it, I get it. Like, if you are not generating net new users and channels are actually a detriment and it's making you lose users, then I see why this is actually a part of the conversation. For me personally, I was onboarded 2 months ago, figured out pretty quickly what a channel was, how to use it, and then also started my own. So okay. I think that like, yeah, it's give and take. I may be an anomaly in that sense, but like, I see the value of it. If it doesn't work out, are you suggesting that Intori could be the solution, where it's like, hey, we're going to archive, or we're going to go through the archives, look at the subjects that like were of value and trending, bring them back, and then based off of the people that were speaking on these matters, if they are an Intori user, we can throw them into group chats, and maybe that's a more intimate and more productive way of retaining an audience that's on Farcaster.
Well, I know, because we're already doing this, that we can group people around topics. So you can go into Intori, you can go to your friends page, and there's a filter, and you could pick a topic that you want to look at and see your friends that match in that topic. So the next thing is going to be answering your question, what do we do with that? We're going to either put those people together in group chats or put them somewhere on the platform where they can have conversations. And if that's channels, I think that'd be a great place for it, because we have plenty of topics and then we have groups of people that want to talk about those topics. So why not put it out there to where everyone can see? So yes, I think that that's something that we can do. And we're
Because
already
you're
having
doing
what?
because you're doing it.
Yeah, when we're starting it, we're just not putting people out there in those groups yet.
Right. So what is the so enlighten and forgive the ignorance here, but like let's just say for example with Startup Radar,
Mhm.
I am trying to build an audience. How can I, as a host, community leader, owner of the channel, like how can I better leverage Intori today to invite an audience to Startup Radar?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like I said, we did move away from being a channel specific product. So that was our original intent, to be helpful to you. Now, what you could do as a user, you could get into the platform and you can send invites out to the people that are in your channel and have them also use Entori. And then if they're your friends, you can see information about them and insights and sort through the filter and figure out what they're into and then have conversations based on that. So that's something that you can already have insights into the people that are in your channels. I've had several developers reach out over the past couple of weeks with interest around having access to build their own products around the information that we have. So that's something that may happen in the future, to where there can be products built for channels, tooling that accesses that information. Again, that's just an idea. We have no plans right now to provide that access. So right now, the best thing you could do is just get your members of your channel on Entori, be friends with them, and then see what you guys are into, and then we'll put you into some type of a grouping.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I know we've kind of scattered around, but I would love to learn more about like going back to when you and your co-founder, you know, kind of went and diverged into different paths. What I'd love to like hear are the stories of how you were able to bootstrap. And it's I think you don't get enough love as founders to like figure out a way to innovate, stay crafty, and just like make shit happen. And I don't think you've probably I don't know, but like I don't think you may have had the chance to really like talk about that in a public setting. And I just think I like watch the like spark whenever like I talk to a founder, they're just like, oh shit, yeah, like I'd love to tell you about this. So if you have any like anecdotal stuff or like anything that you would like to share about that in that regard, that'd be awesome.
Well, there's two things. I'm going to go back because, yes, this is an opportunity for me to talk about things that I've probably never talked about before. I'm going to go back to high school real quick. I think getting to this point and wanting to bootstrap and build a company in emerging tech area, you have to have some agency. So it started at an early age. Throughout high school, I was actually a Microsoft MVP. And I think that program's still around today, but basically it's evangelists out there in the world that are specialists in a specific area of Microsoft, and they give you a certificate. And for a year, you are an advocate and you do different things. So I was in high school. I was a Xbox MVP. So this is early 2000s. There was about 10 of us in the world. I was a teenager, and I, sleuthing through Reddit or whatever I was using at that point, I found the phone number of the secretary of the head of Xbox. And I'm at home. My mom pulls the phone out to the front porch, still on the cord,
Yeah.
says so and so's on the phone, like to speak with you. And I'm giving him feedback on his recent release of the Xbox console. So that led into helping them start up the Xbox.com forums. I was a moderator as a teenager, managing that. flew me out to Seattle, to the offices, to LA for E3 to host Xbox Live coming out, beta testing stuff. So I was in it early on with a passion for something I was into that you just basically have to take the leap to do it. And throughout my life, that's kind of where what's that and chip on my shoulder from my experience, short experience in banking, has led to wanting to bootstrap and do the stuff I'm doing now. So it's not easy at all. Um, I could probably pull my wife up here to add to it, and the kids are actually kicked out of the house right now, so it's quiet enough to have this conversation. But every single day is not easy, and you have to you sleep, eat, and chew glass around your idea and your product, and you have to make sacrifices. And the comfortable thing that would have probably been the smarter thing was to keep doing what we were doing, getting grants, building open source software while on the side working on different products. But to get to where we've talked about where I'd like this product to be, it required me to take this path on myself. It's what I do 24/7. I have a great developer on my team, and we're doing it. So I obviously can't afford to pay to do this forever, bootstrapped. So we are going to have some monetization to the platform, but I think that this is the way that I had to do it. I don't have VCs telling me what to do. We're trying some things out that aren't, traditional ways of doing things, but we're looking far ahead. So it's the choice that I've taken, and there's sacrifices, but I think the benefits are going to outweigh those.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thanks for giving some insight. I appreciate it, and I really admire anyone that's trying to take on a new venture, and it is not easy at all. And I can't even. The one thing that I will say is like the capital raising element is probably the most difficult thing I've ever had to experience in my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so complex, but at the same time, another shameless plug for Farcaster is like they allow you an opportunity to build an MVP at a fractional cost. Correct. And have an audience that will immediately give you an answer if this is a viable product or not. Right. And so for me, it's like, if only I started that company, at this point and not then, and not to even go that route. But like my point being though, is the fact that the resources and the capabilities of doing it, it's not impossible anymore. Like no. It's the margin for error and like the likelihood of success were like barely a percentage point. If you are a first-time founder, bootstrapping and trying to raise capital for this idea that you have. But I think with a platform like Farcaster, you're able to see a product and see right away if it's worth exhausting all of your time, energy, and resources into that. Yeah. So it's for you, I mean, it's got to be a little bit easier than it was 4 or 5 years ago prior to.
It would not have been possible a year ago.
Right.
There's nowhere else that you could go to have essentially free on-chain transactions, a wallet accessible to you, a network to test on, mini apps that could be spun up instantly. And my other coworker is AI. So I'm having, strategic conversations with an AI and facilitating plans to hand over to a developer to what would have taken me weeks, months, and teams to do in the past. So you can do it. And I think that it's worth trying. Now, one caveat to that is that there's a lot of ephemeral products out there that are just one-off mini apps, and that's fine. And you can get attention, you can come and go, and to take it to the point where we'd like to have it, where you're expanding outside of Farcaster into a hybrid app, into other networks, that's a little bit more thought and cost and time involved. But to get those first 1,000 users, that MVP, it did not require much.
Exactly. And I think that's the benefit, right? It's right there. And for you and like where you're sitting, Um, do you think that it's in the cards to then go down a route of having to go do that capital raise and like going the traditional VC route and getting that attention?
Yeah, yeah. I definitely would like to speak to some angels at some point, because I can't sustain it myself. And the unfortunate reality of this space is that there's a lot of extractive tendencies to where you can get money through tokens quickly, but a lot of times it's in a way where it's not to the benefit of everybody on your platform. And even though we do have a token and we do provide that token to people that are using the platform, it's not there to be a fund for our ongoing future development.
It's a
So
community token.
correct. So it's a product coin. It's for use on the product. So we're not looking at it in a way where this is going to be our only way of growing a business around it, because I don't want it to be a 2-3 person business. I want this to be a very large business, and it's going to need some capital at some point.
No, I mean, I think that's all very exciting. And thank goodness that you've found a place on Farcaster and you've been able to test it out and know that this is feasible and you made the right choice. No, especially with the long term play. I think that's so exciting and encouraging, and someone's got to do it. And I'd prefer it to be someone that is Web3 native, someone that is not going to be malicious with my data, that understands the, like, what it looks like on the outside of how they're using it currently. So it makes sense. It's really encouraging, and I'm looking forward to the next iterations. Do you have anything that's going to be coming out soon that you're going to be implementing?
Yeah, so we are pushing updates pretty much every day. We recently released a feature called Boost, which is really cool, where whenever you go to answer a question, if it's one that you want people to see, you pay to boost it for 24 hours. It now shows up to all your friends in their feed. It shows up now you're the top match with that insight. So it's pretty cool. That one's a cool feature. We're going to be doing more. I can't disclose everything that we're going to be doing. But depending on when this is released, we're going to start to do a little bit more marketing. We're going to start to expand outside of this original base of users and do a little more outreach there. So I think that when this comes out, you'll see a lot more about Intori. We've kind of been under the radar, but I think that's going to change.
So, not to pry too much more, but you're looking at, I would assume, other social media platforms to start pushing, or is it going to stay on Farcaster for?
We're pretty Farcaster native.
Okay,
We're looking to communicate with some other platforms for extending outside of Farcaster.
got it. That's good. That's good to hear. But awesome. Are there any other things that you can plug? Anything that you got in mind that you'd like to share?
The biggest thing for me is just to get people to go in and try out the app. It's there. We're normally in the top 30 apps. We're super excited and building us out towards the launch of going fully on Coinbase Wallet, because that's hopefully going to extend our reach far outside the current base. And just get in there and use it. Connect with people. I'm always available. We're going to be pushing out new stuff all the time. So it's an exciting and fun time to get involved with what we're building.
Amazing. Well, that's perfect timing. We're coming up right on the hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. DB, I really appreciate you making the time. I will keep you posted when I'm going to launch this, and we could do something fun around it with Intori and just getting the word out there and getting people on.
Yeah. Let's do something fun. Get the community involved. That's the best part of all this.
Yeah.
We're all spending our time on Farcaster, so why not have some fun with it? Meet some people, and just stay in touch.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. I really appreciate it. If you could hang on for like 5 seconds just to debrief, that'd be awesome. But I'm going to hit close on this thing. Thank you again for making the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you.